Have you ever trusted someone so deeply, only to wake up one day and realize they've completely disappeared from your life, without a word? Have you ever looked into someone's calm, peaceful eyes, and sensed something powerful hidden beneath the silence? What if I told you, the calmest people you know might also be the most dangerous when provoked? Sounds impossible? Then you've probably never loved, or hurt, a Taurus. Taurus is known as the gentle giant of the zodiac. The kind friend. The patient lover. The steady presence that never seems to break. But here's the shocking truth, behind that peaceful surface lives a storm they never show. Until it's too late. In today's video, we're going deep. Not just into astrology, but into the psychology of Taurus. Their hidden emotions. Their quiet strength. And the silent way they end things forever, when you push them too far. I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll never see Taurus the same way again. So, if you've ever loved a Taurus, or you are one, stay with me. And before we dive in, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to understand Taurus a little better. Now, are you ready to meet the silent storm? Let's begin. Have you ever met someone who never seems shaken? Someone who listens more than they speak, and smiles even when others lose their temper? Chances are, you've met a Taurus. On the surface, Taurus people appear simple. Calm. Steady. They're the ones who stay silent in chaos, who choose peace when others choose conflict. But what most people don't see is what's happening deep inside that silence. Taurus is not emotionless. Quite the opposite. Inside that quiet exterior is an entire world of feelings, thoughts, and silent processing. They don't speak every thought aloud. They don't show every emotion on their face. Instead, they carry their storms privately. Imagine someone sitting in the middle of a crowded room, smiling softly, listening carefully, while their mind is replaying every word you said. Every tone you used. Every action you took. That's Taurus. Calm outside. Thinking inside. Their calmness isn't weakness. It's self-control. It's their way of processing life without creating unnecessary chaos. But here's the part people miss, that self-control is not endless. When a Taurus absorbs too much, when their silent patience runs out, their reaction is not a loud explosion. It's a silent shift. They won't yell. They won't explain. One day, they'll simply stop giving you their energy. And you'll realize, too late, that you lost them long before they said a word. Why do they act like this? Because for Taurus, loyalty is everything. It's not just a personality trait. It's a psychological need. Taurus builds their relationships like they build their life, slowly. Carefully, and with full commitment. When they trust you, it's not halfway. They're all in. That loyalty makes them feel secure. It's their emotional anchor. But betrayal? Dishonesty? Repeated disappointment? That shakes their foundation. And when a Taurus feels unsafe emotionally, their instinct is to protect themselves in the most permanent way possible, silence and distance. You might wonder, why don't they fight for the relationship? Why don't they express their hurt? The truth is, they already did. In their way. Maybe they gave you subtle signals. Maybe they pulled back just a little. Maybe they stopped sharing the little details of their day. Those were their warnings. But you missed them. Because Taurus doesn't throw their pain in your face. They internalize it. And when their heart says enough, they're gone. What's fascinating about Taurus is how slow they are to react. Some signs explode at the smallest frustration. Not Taurus. They process. They reflect. They observe. Have you ever watched someone pause before answering, even when they're clearly hurt? That's Taurus thinking. Is this worth my energy? Is this worth my peace? They don't react to hurt. They respond to patterns. And once they recognize a pattern that threatens their peace, they act. But their action isn't loud. It's silent. Final. Imagine texting someone who always replied within minutes, and suddenly they stop. You check their social media. They're still active. But your message? Left unread. That's how Taurus ends a connection. Quietly. Without closure. Because in their mind, closure happened internally. Long before you even noticed. Their silence isn't about punishing you. It's about protecting themselves. Every Taurus has a limit. And once you cross it, their psychological walls rise. Those walls are high, strong, and built not out of anger, but self-respect. Let me give you a real example. Imagine Sarah, a Taurus woman. For years, she tolerated her friends' small lies. Canceling plans last minute. Forgetting her birthday. Little things. But Sarah always forgave. She stayed kind. She stayed patient. Until one day, her friend lied about something important. Sarah didn't argue. She didn't cry. She simply stopped replying. Weeks later, her friend asked, "Why are you ignoring me?" And Sarah? She didn't answer. Because in her mind, their friendship ended the moment the trust broke. Her silence was her goodbye. This is the danger hidden in Taurus calmness. Not that they'll attack you, but that they'll erase you, without a sound. Their emotional withdrawal is total. It's their final form of protection. You can apologize. You can beg. But once a Taurus disconnects, your words are just noise. So, what's the lesson here? Don't mistake silence for weakness. Don't assume patience means tolerance forever. When a Taurus stays silent, it's not because they can't speak. It's because they've already decided that speaking won't change anything. Think about your relationships. Are you listening when someone pulls back? Are you noticing the quiet warnings? Because once a Taurus reaches their limit, once they close the door, nothing and no one can open it again. Their silence is not a punishment. It's peace. Peace they choose for themselves. And that is why Taurus, the calmest sign, can also be the most dangerous when provoked. Have you ever wondered why a Taurus gives so much, yet can take everything back without warning? Why someone who cared so deeply can suddenly vanish from your life, as if you never mattered at all? That's not coldness. That's Taurus protecting what matters most to them, their peace. When a Taurus loves you, it feels like coming home. They make sure you're comfortable. They notice the small details. They remember your favorite food, your favorite song, the little things you didn't even realize you mentioned. They'll check in on you after a long day. They'll offer help before you even ask. Their loyalty isn't just something they offer, it's who they are. But here's the truth. That care isn't unconditional. It's earned. Taurus gives and gives, until you start taking it for granted. The moment you stop saying thank you, the moment you act like their loyalty is guaranteed, Taurus notices. And that's when everything begins to change. They won't complain. They won't ask for recognition. Instead, they'll start pulling back quietly. One day, you'll notice they're not checking in like before. The calls become less frequent. The conversations shorter. You'll tell yourself they're just busy. But deep down, Taurus has already made their decision. The shift is always quiet. That's the danger. You never see it coming. You never realize how much they gave you, until they stop. And when they stop, the emptiness they leave behind feels heavier than any loud goodbye. Why does this happen? Because Taurus isn't looking for drama. They're not the type to start arguments or chase people for attention. They want peace. Silence. Stability. If there's tension, they'll try to ease it. If there's a problem, they'll look for a calm solution. That's their nature. But peace doesn't mean weakness. If you force them into conflict, they won't fight with noise. They'll end the battle before you even realize it began. Taurus fights differently. Not to prove a point, but to protect their peace. If you hurt someone they love, if you attack what they care about, Taurus won't waste words. They won't get emotional. They'll act decisively, without hesitation. That's what makes them so dangerous when pushed. Their calmness hides power. Not the kind that explodes, but the kind that ends things. With precision. With finality. Let me share a real story. Jake was a Taurus man. At work, he was everyone's favorite. Calm. Helpful. Always solving problems without drama. Until one day, a colleague tried to discredit him. Spread lies behind his back. Jake found out. But instead of confronting the person, instead of reacting emotionally, he documented everything silently. He waited. Then, when the right moment came, he presented the truth to the management. Calmly, professionally, without anger. The result? His colleague was removed. Jake didn't need to fight. His quiet actions said everything. Taurus doesn't need to win arguments. They win through actions. Through silence. And once they've decided someone is a threat to their peace, they remove that threat. Not with noise, but with firm, quiet decisions. And what about their love? Taurus doesn't love halfway. When they care about someone, they're all in. They'll stand beside you through your darkest days. They'll hold your hand when everyone else walks away. Their loyalty is rare. Their affection is steady. You'll feel safe with them. You'll feel seen. Loved. But love them wrong, and watch everything change. Taurus doesn't turn love into hate. They're not interested in revenge. What they do is harder to accept. They turn their love into distance. Cold, unreachable distance. The person who once stayed up late listening to you, who remembered your favorite ice cream, who stood beside you even when you pushed them away, suddenly looks at you like you're a stranger. You'll try to explain. You'll say sorry. You'll beg for a second chance. But Taurus doesn't need explanations once their heart has been broken beyond repair. Their silence becomes their answer. Their absence becomes their closure. And it hurts. Not because they're cruel, but because you know, deep down, you had their heart. And now it's gone. This is where Taurus teaches a painful but powerful lesson. Love is precious. Trust is sacred. And once broken, it can't always be rebuilt. So, if you have a Taurus in your life, appreciate their silence. Respect their peace. And never assume their patience is infinite. Because once they decide they're done, they're gone. But don't worry, the most shocking truths about Taurus haven't been revealed yet. In the next part of this video, you'll discover why Taurus rarely shows their true strength, until it's too late for anyone to stop them. And how their quiet actions can reshape your entire understanding of loyalty, control, and emotional power. Get ready. The final lessons will surprise you. Have you ever looked at someone quiet and wondered what's happening behind their silence? With Taurus, silence is never empty. It's never meaningless. It's a strategy. It's strength. You might think they're passive. You might think they're not paying attention. But the truth is, Taurus is always observing. Always planning. Always deciding when, and if, to act. Taurus doesn't need to control every situation. They're not the loud leader in the room. They're not the person fighting for attention or pushing to be in charge. They let life flow. They're flexible when things are calm. They allow others to lead without feeling threatened. But this is where people make a dangerous mistake. Just because Taurus isn't controlling, doesn't mean they're not in control. While you're busy thinking you've got the upper hand, Taurus is 5 steps ahead. Quietly, calmly, without showing their cards. They observe every move you make. They store every detail. They're not reacting emotionally. They're calculating, planning, building strong foundations beneath the surface while letting you believe you're in control. Until one day, everything shifts. And you realize Taurus was never behind. They were letting you move first. Letting you feel safe. Letting you reveal yourself. And when they strike back, it's not noisy. It's not messy. It's precise. Final. Unshakable. Taurus takes back control without warning. And once they do, it's already too late to fight back. It's like playing chess with someone who never rushes, who never seems aggressive, and then suddenly, checkmate. And you didn't even see it coming. That's the psychological strength of Taurus. Calm on the outside. Strategically strong on the inside. They're humble. They're modest. Even when they win, they don't brag. Even when they achieve something important, they don't shout about it. They let their actions speak. Results matter more to them than recognition. That's why people respect them quietly. Taurus doesn't seek applause. They seek results. But if someone crosses their boundary, disrespects them, or underestimates them, Taurus doesn't respond with loud anger. They don't explain their worth. They stand firm. And that's when you realize how much strength they've been hiding. They don't need to raise their voice. They don't need to prove anything. They know who they are. And when they act, it's impossible not to feel the shift. I once knew a Taurus woman named Emma. For years, people at work saw her as the quiet one, the reliable one. She did her job. Never complained. Never demanded attention. Until a promotion opportunity came, and everyone assumed she wouldn't fight for it. They overlooked her. Thought she was too passive. But Emma had been preparing all along. She had documented her work, her successes, her value. When the right moment arrived, she presented everything to her boss. Calmly. Professionally. Without emotion. And just like that, she got the position everyone thought she'd never claim. That's how Taurus wins. Quietly. Powerfully. Without noise. They don't just defend themselves. They defend the people they love. Fiercely. Silently. If you're close to a Taurus, you might not even realize how much they're protecting you behind the scenes. They listen to your problems. They stand beside you, even when you're too tired to speak. And if someone hurts you, Taurus notices. They might not say anything, but they're watching. And they don't forget. The moment you're crossed, they see it as an attack on themselves. And they won't let it happen twice. They won't start a public fight. They won't create chaos. But they'll make sure that person never gets close to you again. Taurus protects their loved ones like a silent wall. Not aggressive. Not loud. Just unmovable. It's like having a bodyguard who never announces their presence, but the moment danger approaches, they're already standing in front of you, blocking the way. Taurus loyalty isn't just about affection. It's about defense. Quiet, steady, and absolute. And when it comes to their work, Taurus applies the same energy. They don't boast about their goals. They don't need to show you their plans. They move quietly, step by step, day by day, building what they want with patience and consistency. They don't compete. They don't compare. They focus on their own path. And that's why they succeed. But push them. Threaten what they've worked for. try to steal what they've earned, and something changes. That calm worker becomes immovable. That quiet creator becomes a wall you can't push through. I remember Michael, a Taurus entrepreneur. His business was his pride. Built slowly, carefully, over years. A competitor tried to undercut him. Spread false rumors. For weeks, Michael said nothing. He didn't retaliate publicly. He didn't explain himself. He just kept working. And then, one day, the competitor's business collapsed. Michael's business? Stronger than ever. When asked how he stayed calm, he simply said, "I protect what's mine." That's enough. This is where Taurus danger lies. Not in how they attack, but in how they defend. Quiet. Steady. Relentless. When they decide something belongs to them, whether it's a person, a dream, or their peace, nothing can take it from them. And once they make that decision, no force on earth can move them. Now, are you starting to see Taurus differently? But don't think you've discovered all their secrets yet. Because in the next part of this video, we'll reveal the 3 final truths about Taurus. And trust me, they're the most surprising, the most emotional, and maybe the most controversial. Stay with me. You're not ready for what's next. Have you ever wondered why Taurus forgives you once, but never twice? It's something people often misunderstand about them. Taurus isn't cold. They're not unforgiving. In fact, they're one of the most understanding signs you'll ever meet. When you make a mistake, they'll listen. They'll give you space to explain. They'll look at your intention, not just your action. And if they believe your apology is sincere, they'll forgive. Quietly. Without holding it against you. But here's the truth no one tells you. That second mistake? That second betrayal? That's where Taurus draws the line. They believe in second chances. But never third. It's not because they're harsh. It's because Taurus watches patterns. They don't just see isolated actions. They see cycles. And once you show them that hurting them is a pattern, they'll protect themselves. Permanently. You won't get a dramatic speech. You won't get a big, emotional goodbye. You'll just find the door closed. Quietly. Without warning. And no matter how sorry you are, it's over. This is where Taurus teaches us a powerful life lesson. Trust is not about words. It's about consistency. Break that pattern once, and Taurus will repair it. Break it twice, and they'll remove you from their life to stop the damage. That's not cruelty. That's survival. Think about your own relationships. Are you showing people that they can trust you through your actions? Or are you relying on apologies? Hoping words will be enough? Taurus teaches that actions matter more than promises. And what happens when Taurus reaches that point of no return? Silence. But not the kind of silence that's angry or vengeful. It's deeper than that. Taurus doesn't need to scream to show you're losing them. They don't need to argue. They don't need closure. Because in their mind, closure happened quietly. Long before you noticed. Their silence is total. It's not the cold shoulder. It's not a game. It's an emotional shutdown. You'll talk, and they won't respond. You'll apologize. And they'll stay still. Not because they're punishing you, but because they've already accepted the loss. Taurus is the kind of person who will try until they don't. And when they stop trying, it means they've already said goodbye inside their heart. I once heard a story about a woman named Laura, a Taurus. Her partner cheated on her, then apologized, begged for forgiveness. She forgave him. She stayed. She loved him like before. But when he betrayed her again, she didn't cry. She didn't shout. She packed her things, left the house, and never answered his calls again. Years later, she said, I loved him. But I loved my peace more. That's Taurus. And it's not just in love. It's in every relationship. Friends. Family. Even work. Once Taurus decides someone no longer respects their worth, they don't explain themselves. They choose peace over people. Why? Because Taurus treasures comfort. They don't need luxury. They don't need extravagance. What they crave is safety. Calm routines. Stable relationships. Environments that make them feel grounded. A cozy home. A predictable schedule. People who are honest and reliable. That's their world. It's not about control. It's about emotional safety. But disturb that peace, betray that comfort, and something ancient awakens inside them. Something primal. You won't see anger. You'll see determination. You'll see precision. You'll see resolve. Because Taurus doesn't like conflict. But they're built for it. If someone becomes a threat to their comfort, their routine, their sense of emotional security, Taurus doesn't yell. They act. And that action is always firm. Always final. They'll remove the threat quietly. And rebuild their life without you. This is the paradox of Taurus. They're peaceful by choice. But if you force them to protect what's theirs, you'll meet the bull. Let me give you something to think about. Think of Taurus not as the gentle cow grazing in a quiet field. Think of them as the bull standing silently, watching. Calm. Steady. Unmoving. Until someone crosses the line. Then, the horns come out. And once Taurus moves, there's no stopping them. So what's the lesson here? Protect your peace like Taurus does. Value your comfort. Set boundaries. And don't be afraid to remove people who repeatedly disturb your emotional stability. That's not being selfish. That's choosing self-respect. Taurus shows us that real strength isn't loud. It's silent. It's patient. It's choosing not to react immediately, but knowing exactly when to walk away. And trust me, what comes next in this video will change the way you see Taurus forever. Because the last 3 truths? They're not just deep. They're the most controversial, the most emotional, and the most important. Don't go anywhere. You're about to understand the soul of Taurus in a way most people never will. Taurus is not quick to react. When something happens, they pause. They breathe. They think. People around them might mistake this as hesitation, or even weakness. But Taurus isn't slow. They're deliberate. Every reaction is a choice, not an impulse. They believe in understanding before responding. They don't jump to conclusions. They give people time to explain. They try to see things clearly. That's why they seem calm when others panic. But here's the mistake people make. They see Taurus waiting, and they assume Taurus will do nothing. They mistake the silence for surrender. The patience for softness. What they don't see is the decision forming beneath the quiet. And by the time Taurus decides, it's already too late to stop them. When Taurus acts, they don't act out of emotion. They act from clarity. From conviction. Their decision isn't a question. It's an answer. And once they choose their path, nothing will change their mind. No apology. No promises. No tears. They've already accepted the consequences. For you. And for themselves. Taurus teaches us the power of reflection. In life, we're often told to act fast. To respond now. But Taurus shows another way. Pause. Reflect. Decide. And then, follow through without fear. Their strength isn't loud. It's solid. Final. And once they move, they don't look back. They don't seek chaos. They don't look for battles. Taurus loves stability. They build their lives like a strong house. Foundation first. Brick by brick. They love routine. Not because it's boring, but because it feels safe. Predictable. Trustworthy. That's their nature. They find peace in what others call repetition. But disturb their foundation, shake their sense of stability, and you'll trigger something they rarely show. A force you can't negotiate with. Taurus might stay silent at first. But once they see you as a threat to their peace, they'll remove you without hesitation. Quietly. Permanently. They don't fall apart when life gets shaky. They anchor themselves deeper. And if they have to, they'll make sure you never get the chance to disturb them again. I once heard about a man named Daniel. A Taurus. He spent years building his small business. Long hours. Hard work. All to create a life of stability. One day, a business partner betrayed him. Tried to steal clients behind his back. At first, Daniel said nothing. People thought he'd given up. But in reality, Daniel was planning. Calmly. Quietly. And when he acted, he did it all at once. Ended the partnership. Took legal action. Secured his clients. Rebuilt stronger than before. And he never spoke of that betrayal again. That's Taurus. They're peaceful by choice. But if you push them, they'll defend what's theirs with a power you won't see coming. Now, as we come to the end of this journey, what does all of this mean? What can we learn from Taurus? The answer is simple, yet not easy. Taurus teaches us that real strength is silent. It's not about who shouts the loudest, or who reacts the fastest. True strength is patience, reflection, knowing your worth quietly, and protecting your peace without apology. They show us that kindness has limits. That loyalty must be earned. That silence doesn't mean weakness, it means decision. And once Taurus chooses, there's no going back. So, if you've loved a Taurus, or you are one, maybe you understand yourself a little better now. Maybe you've seen your own silence in a new light. Or maybe you're thinking about someone who once walked away from your life, quietly. And now, you finally understand why. If this message touched something inside you, if you saw yourself or someone you love in these words, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Not because you have to, but because maybe, just maybe, you're ready to explore more. About astrology. About psychology. About yourself. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone struggling to understand a silent goodbye, share this video with them. You never know whose life you might help heal. This is just one piece of the bigger picture. In the next videos, we'll explore deeper truths. Not just about Taurus, but about every sign, every mind, every heart. Until then, take care of your peace. And remember, sometimes, the strongest storm is the one you never hear coming.